Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So now guys, the lies that they tell is getting even more ludicrous for them, even them to swallow, not because of any sense of shame, but because the lies are so incredulous that even they find it now difficult to sustain and maintain. Guys, I bring you this. I am sorry for saying only 10 students were kidnapped, headline attributed to Garba Shehu. We're going to to Katsina State, rather, not Daura, but what's the name of that place that we recently had an incident? Kankara in Katsina State. That is where we're going to, and we're talking, of course, about the incidents that recently happened in that space. You all know it, so I don't have to recount it, and you all know the feedback, of course, of the presidency of Malam Buhari and his team to that incident. So just a quick recap, because it's not really about the incident but the government response, but just to paint the picture, 333 students were abducted from a school in Kankara by insurgents and kidnappers, and these students now were taken into the forest and held hostage. So this was the news that broke in Kankara in Katsina State, and then just off the back of that, barely a day later, imageries of Malam Buhari now are going to his farm to inspect his cattle and cows then surfaced online. So people were talking about the dichotomous imagery of these two particular situation, and highlighting once again that Malam Buhari does not have the capacity to contain the level of now lawlessness that we're seeing in Nigeria. So now, off the back of that controversy, the presidency, via its spokesperson Garba Shehu, said it wasn't 333 students that were missing, but 10. So now look at the disparity in the figures, because of course the 333 number is not just a number that was plucked from the ethers. These were the numbers released by the school that the children were abducted from. But then, of course, hundreds of miles away, Garba Shehu has cut it back not even by 10%, almost by about almost 3-4% of the numbers that was publicly pronounced by the school is actually the number. So from 333, he cut it down to 10. But then, of course, the school continued to maintain its stance that actually 333 students were missing. So unsustainable now, that positioning that was adopted by the presidency via its spokesperson, to the point that, again, I am sorry for saying only 10 students were kidnapped, a headline attributed to Garba Shehu. So now let's now see what Liar has to say with an almost certainly another lie. So now let's get into it. Gunmen who came on motorbikes had last Friday invaded the school premises around 11 p.m., shooting indiscriminately to scare away the residents. After the attack, Shehu claimed only 10 students were kidnapped. However, 344, so it's even higher than I originally stated. However, 344 students were released by the bandits on Thursday, contrary to the presidential aide's claim. I apologize for the incorrect communication, citing that only 10 students were kidnapped at the science school, Kankara, Shehu said on Friday via his verified Twitter page. So let's just pause there for a moment and just unpick that. So he just tacitly said, oh, I apologize for saying only 10 students. So I apologize is not really sufficient enough of a thing to be the response to this sort of like a thing that Garba Shehu has done. An immediate resignation or an immediate sacking is the minimum of expectations, and this is what would happen in any civilized country. But then, of course, nobody on this planet could ever accuse the Nigerian state of being civilized. So that's the first thing. It's not just the apology, but then it goes on to say He says, I apologize for incorrect communication, citing that only 10 students were kidnapped. So only 10 students is what I wanted to land on. Only 10 students. So 344 is a disaster, but those 10 students, if we're just 10 students, then that's just, well, what do you mean? It's only 10. So what's the only in 10 students who were sent by their parents to a school to get an education, been abducted under the federal authority that runs the school and whose care the parents have placed their children. So only 10 students is what Garba Shehu said. But then, of course, if one of those 10 were his son, if one of those 10 was his son, I wonder if it will still be only, as is now so flippantly chose to describe it. So I apologize for the incorrect communication, citing that only 10 students were kidnapped at the science school Kankara, Shehu said on Friday via his verified Twitter handle. This communication of numbers was provided by persons that should ideally know. These numbers were seen to conflict with what was available at that time. Please understand that this communication was in no way done to downplay the seriousness of the situation. Please accept my sincere apologies on this matter as we continue to move our great nation Nigeria forward. Thank you. So this is now the tacit and matter of fact one-liner that's now this Garba Shehu has now used to dismiss now this obfuscation, this dabaru that he wanted to do with these figures, because of course you know that this is what always happens. This is what happened in that place where we had the beheading. Amnesty International was quoting one number. The community that the incident took place was quoting another number. The media was quoting a different number, and the presidency was quoting a different number. So it's a tried and a trusted template that they use in this particular situations. Obfuscation is the same narrative that we had at Lekki Toll Gate, that nothing happened. Where are the bodies? So it's that same now tried and trusted template of obfuscating every matter that he has brought into play in this particular situation now. But alas, the situation went ahead of him, and the school in Katsina State did not get the memo that it is the government's position to downplay and whittle away every serious incident that happens within the Nigerian space. So thank God these boys were released. And by the way, those boys were released. They were not rescued. So we need to get the detailing right. Those boys were released. They were not rescued, and the releasing of these boys is not just like a moment of conscience that has just happened upon the being of these people that kidnapped them. No, this is a negotiated position where billions of nairas has changed hands, and the governor of that state, of course, via Malam Buhari, has paid these people to release these boys. So of course these boys will be released, and then a few months down the line a different set of boys or girls will be picked up again, and then of course money will exchange hands again. So released, not rescued, is really what I want us to focus on in this particular instance. This is no victory for anybody that is called Nigeria. The only person that is victorious, the only people that are victorious in this particular instance, that is if this kidnapping actually took place, because there's a theory around that as well. So we're going first on the assumption that this kidnapping did actually take place, and if it did take place, then the only victors really are the kidnappers who successfully kidnapped these boys, got paid, and released them. So they're the victors because they're the ones who have made money out of this situation. The other scenario is that this is just one elaborate orchestrated drama for the benefit of Nigerians. So these boys, they will tell us they were kidnapped, and then they will tell us that they were rescued, and then that of course then resonates very nicely for Buhari and his people to say that, look, this is our fight against insurgency, because it's very convenient, of course, now that this kidnap and rescue or release happened in a quick succession after the incident that we had with the farmers, whatever it was. I can't remember. I don't want to be too descriptive for the purposes of YouTube, but then of course it is very convenient now that we have this happy ending story off the back of the farmer stories and the Lekki Toge stories, etc. So